The personal vampire is, in a sense, prepared to hear this message already. He already has learned through his own experience the way the institution of the park works and the way that he's a servant of it. But he's not very prepared for the possibility of his physical reality changing. So he undergoes, along with the other human character in the story, or nearly human character, what's called cognitive dissonance. That's when people have a conflict between what they believe and what they do, and they try to resolve it by telling themselves that they're doing something good, so it isn't really a conflict. An example of this that I found on the internet was in the time of the genocides in World War II, when soldiers told themselves they were only following orders, so they weren't responsible for the genocide that they were helping to perpetrate. The religious examples of this are when people say that they want eternal life and then kill the people that try to give eternal life to them, then tell themselves they've done something good by making a sacrificial figure out of the person who could have given eternal life. Because of this heritage of sacrifice in our thought, both of the individual characters in the story Nosangreal are afraid of how society will react to them if they try to do something that goes against the grain. This fear has evolved over millennia because there was a sacrificial tradition, particularly in agricultural societies, which has persisted in one way or another right up to the present day, that you have an intermediary figure between our world and the next, between heaven and earth, who's like a king and plays the role of guaranteeing the fertility of the land. His health is usually supposed to be tied to the health of the land, so he might have someone with several wives, and if he can't satisfy his wives sexually anymore, he's considered to be affecting the land, and he's ceremonially, sacrificially killed, and a new figure is brought in to take his place. Christianity also has a scapegoat figure, Jesus, and it's believed that originally this is something that we got from vegetal cultures, the idea of sacrificing the god for the good of everyone else, to maintain the health and productivity of the land. The Grail stories that came along starting in about the 12th century were a partial challenge to this idea, I think, because they have these same central motifs in some ways. They have a wounded king who may or may not preside over a wounded land as well, and is not fertile and productive. And the knight, the hero of the story, may come along and try to change the status of one or the other, or both, to restore them to health. But in the early Grail stories, although there are many versions of them, there's no one version that has all of the elements working just right to affirm the sacrificial principle, which would be that by killing the sick king or restoring him to health, you restore the land to health as well.